And hello, everybody, and welcome to today's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show on video. It's almost like live in Technicolor. So wonderful that we get to do this. And I've taken a couple of polls as to what you, as our BTO community, would prefer. And it seems that Zoom calls and the video calls is something that's really resonating for you, that you're really feeling the intimacy and the connection in this way. And of course, I want to stay open to you all and to what feels expansive and how we can lean forward into that opportunity to connect with one another. So please provide your feedback. Type it into the chat box here. Email it to support@Beyond the Ordinary Show. And again, we're here to serve you as best we can. So your opinion, your comments, your suggestions count tremendously. And again, being here for you. And being here for you, I get to bring you the most phenomenal transformational leaders that I get to personally experience in so many different ways. And Christine Laria is not only an amazing channel, teacher, way shower, all these things, but she's also a dear friend who I have such a heart connection with. It was just, we just know each other like in this amazing level. And what she has to share and what she continues to transmit, to bring through, it's just like she's always evolving. So if y'all are familiar with Christine, and the last time she was here, as phenomenal as she was, there's even more, believe it or not. And so this is gonna be a fantastic call, and I'm super excited. Because we're going to get into the energies, and Christine was asking me, is like, what does your audience want? You and I can go to all these places and make it exciting no matter what. And we're really feeling into it, and Christine really nailed the energies. And all I know is this, is that if you're on this call listening to the replay, it's for you. No doubt whatsoever, this call is for you. And with that, let me tell you a little bit more about Christine and our topic today about all love, the new energies to open deeper into the infinite you. So Christine Laria, she's a spiritual teacher, an amazing human being, a guide, clairsensory healer, and channel, and sound alchemy master. Are we going to experience some sound alchemy today, Christine?
You know, we'll see. My experience is that Zoom is not the most user-friendly, at least with the bowls, but the voice is usually okay. So that probably will come in because that's simple and yeah, powerful. So.
Well, and there's other channels and other information that's going to come through without a doubt. So hang out for that, guys. Now, through her vibrational transmissions of presence, insight, and sound, she guides, uplifts, and inspires those who are choosing a fully enlightened embodiment of freedom and love. Christine's passion is your illuminated mastery of your own life. You living in your full wisdom, abundance, and mastery of all your multidimensional gifts and presence. To assist and guide, she offers clairsensory guidance, channeled messages, of which, by the way, we are going to open up to Q&A. So if you want to ask your personal question, type it into the chat box, type it into the Q&A, or you can press on the participant box at the bottom of your video screen. And when you click on that, you'll see a hand that you can click on, and it will raise your hand so you can ask your personal questions. So we're going to try to get through as many personal questions as possible as well. She also offers, again, channeled messages, sound alchemy, soul readings, laser precise insight, and facilitation. And yes, it is laser precise. And the spaciousness of unconditional love. And without a doubt, you're going to feel that today. In her many lifetimes, in this one, she has played the roles of daughter, sister, wife, mother, grandmother, muse dancer, and dance teacher, classical soprano, university music professor, choral and orchestral, I always have a hard time saying that, conductor, Carnegie Hall soloist, author, featured speaker, and nationally televised CBS special music director, energy healer, channel coach, photographer, and mermaid. And you left out friend, Christine. You left out friend, but that's okay. Amazing. Y'all, welcome Christine to today's BTO show. Christine, thank you for being here today.
Oh, Oh, thank you, John. It's so fun to be with you. And it's like, it's all the good stuff. You know, it's fun, it's intimate, it's profound. Yeah, it's life-changing to be here on your platform again. Thank you so much. And to everybody who's here and tuned in. Yeah, I feel you. And it's great to be with you. Amazing.
Well,
Yeah.
you reached out to me not too long ago. It's like something new's coming in. Something is like, I've got this whole nother capacity that I wasn't aware of. Is this heart field transmission that you're talking about?
Yeah, you know, and I love that you were saying I'm always evolving, because I know that we all are, and yet I feel like in a way I can be an example to people of how much is possible, because this is new for me, absolutely new. It appeared spontaneously in my field, and yet my whole life feels like that, like this. I didn't come in with all the gifts that I embody now. They have activated through this life. So that feels like kind of key, like for so many people, there's always so much more. And this particular thing, I was actually in a session with a client, and I do lots of different things like so many people. And I gave a command to start a particular energy to flow. And these words came into my head and said, no, stop that, do this. And I was like, okay, whatever that is. And I started this new transmission. And it has just rocked my world with how profound it is and how perfect the timing is for where the world is now. It is totally different. John, it's a place that you know how it is with those of us who work in this way. We go a lot of places interdimensionally, and we experience a lot of vibrational states and realities and all of those things. And this is tapping into a place that I'd always been able to go on my own, but had not yet been able to bridge others to. And that is why I'm here, and that's what it's really about. So that for me was like a really, really great day when I saw that that's what was happening. So I just gave myself to it, to let it teach me, to guide me to how to modulate and work with it, you know, actively. And it's profound. It solves the problems beyond the level where they were created. That's the easiest way to say it. You know, it's accessing a different vibrational dimension, so that's the energy that meets us in the thing that we want to shift or open into, rather than from the inside of where we are looking out. And that's not a new idea, but this energy is, yeah, for me in my experience. Yeah.
What's the before and the after for the people that you work with using these new transmissions? What are you noticing?
So a lot of things. I mean, some of the reports have been things like I experienced a level of presence I've never known before. That cleared up the rest of the PTSD that I've been working to get rid of all my life. A lot of relaxation, a lot of awareness of things moving and just naturally vibrating out of the field. It's like this energy is so pristine and so high. And gosh, with some of my friends like you and others who work with all kinds of energies, and the reports I've gotten back from people who fly those really high dimensional spaces have said it's so pristine, and it's like so elevated in terms of its dimensions. So it can meet you wherever you are. If you're like ready to release grief or let go of something or heal something in the body, it'll meet you right there. And if you're like, actually, I'm just good, and what I really want is the next octave of my consciousness and embodiment, it will help you fly. That part astounds me, truly, how incredibly fluid and modulatable it is in the moment, like in a group transmission. Yeah, it's incredible. And it originates, like so many beautiful things do, beyond any field of polarity or duality. That's part of why it's so powerful, is because it really comes from this space where it's never gone through the field of separation. It's never had, it's actually not, in a sense, mitigated or diluted by having traveled through the dual field. It's just what it is. It's the unity consciousness energy, and then that can meet us directly without having to interface through any kind of light dark polarity.
Do you remember where we went in the session you took me through?
Do I remember where we went? Oh my God. You know what? I have to write it down. I've started keeping a journal of what happens, because, I know if you join, I was like, wait, what was that? Because there's something, but I do forget. It's like a dreamlike state for me. I mean, I have to like literally write it down, because when it happens. What do you remember?
I remember us both meeting in this energy, and it's like went like way out there. It was like, wait, where did we just go? Because that was new.
Yeah, it took off, didn't it?
It wasn't like this fixing grief. It's just like, thump.
Yeah.
And that's amazing because it's easy to sometimes get caught up in the intention of a facilitation to heal a specific thing, to be something for someone. But
Yeah.
in the unified field of potential, I'll call it the lighted void, the void with an awareness of where it can progress to, instead of the void just being the void. With the awareness of the potential of what it can generate, and when it's met in a resonant field, it has the opportunity to expand. And so by being met in that without the expectation, without a judgment of what it's supposed to be, it has the organic freedom to grow and reach in ways that it wants to dance instead of being manipulated into.
Absolutely. Wow. And you're so pointing at really like an essence of what it is. And it is that quality of being such a clear and powerful vibration that is not really beholden to anything else that we know. It's not beholden to our story. It's not beholden to our experience. It's not beholden to our expectations. It's incredibly free. And that is a part of a signature that I work with all the time, is just that absolute core resonant freedom, total wide open, nothing that is has us by the ankles, or no container, so that everything can be what it wants to be and beyond, and then change too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and this takes me into part of our conversation where we were going to direct the call today. And I feel this personally. I feel very centered, but I'm also feeling that I'm being magnetized in different directions that are perhaps reminding me on how easily I can be influenced in different specifics. And so it seems like I'm generating more of this churning of my own magnetic field to stay in this place, rather than being at the effect of those things outside of me. And so I'm finding that a lot of people in our community we're kind of leaving our centers a little bit, where as we've learned to ground in, and we've been holding that more steadily perhaps than we ever have before, even with everything coming up, there's still these pulls, there's still these things that are taking us, that are distracting us away from this a bit. Does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah, it makes total sense. So, because what I see as you speak about that is the volume is up so loud on external things right now in the world, and nobody needs anybody to tell them that. And yet it's a whole new level of mastery that we're being called to, because the external reference for anything in us, in creation, in thought, in presence, if we leave anything kind of neutral and available, it will take it. It'll be like, great, we're over here now. And that's incredibly tiring and actually really discouraging, and scattering. It has that feeling of being kind of diffused and drained, because literally what I watch in the field is people's energy goes to feed somebody else's creation. That's what happens. Literally, it's like it's just going there. And if we're not sovereign with that the core alignment first here, like if I'm going to create from an internal reference point, I'm going to be present from an internal reference point, and I have to myself return to that over and over, like if I ever get pulled off, because the volume is loud. The volume is so loud. And I'm telling us all, I'm telling me, because I'm speaking to me, it's never anything that I want to create what's pulling me externally referenced. It's never anything that if I was like, hey, if I had my choice of everything in the world, here's what I'll choose. I'll choose that scene, that narrative, that movie, that whatever. And yet once we go there, we've given it our energy, and it creates in us and us in it, and it's not that much fun. Yeah.
So how can we pull ourselves back in? How can we get back into the realization of that sovereignty and really feed our creations from from acknowledging our sovereign place, but honoring the sovereign place of others as well?
Yeah, and I want to just take a breath with everybody as we look at that question, because there's this beautiful mastery within everybody here in your audience and who's listening. And we're going to tap into the collective wisdom that we create and generate from the inside out, letting go of ideas of what it means to manifest, letting go of what our expectations are, being clearly here in this moment. Which, so for me, as I take that breath and center into that, what begins dissolving for me, what brings me back to sovereignty, is any idea of any role that I play through physical identity and egoic identity and position and any of those human definitions of how we connect to the physical world. And I come back into, well, what is right here? And immediately there's this huge breath and opening into spaciousness of love, of presence. For me, presence is unconditional love because it doesn't have an agenda and it doesn't have an opinion and it doesn't have a need to fix anything. And it's right here and it's so potent and it's so powerful. And once I'm tapped into that core vibrational stream, then I get to say, what does this choose? And what does it see even? What does it see? Like right now I'm sitting here, you know, looking at basically at you and this beautiful audience and this gathering of these beautiful beings. And I see brilliance. And that is my choice to create from that. And to know that I honor everybody's choice in creation. And also it doesn't actually have to have anything to do with me. That freedom is an internal state because that's, you feel what that does? It moves us to a new vibrational echelon, right? Because if we're focused on freedom as, do I have to do this or that? Can I go here or there? Is somebody in charge of my reality? That's freedom down here at this vibrational level. And that's actually not the freedom that our sovereignty creates. It's out here, which is that state of knowing our power within. Yeah.
And that state of knowing the power within is what's up for all of us.
Yeah. It is our time. Oh my God, it's our time and it's so good. Yeah.
It's quite interesting and how that unfolds. Well, that's the journey, that's the wonder. And there's compassion for so many different journeys and the wonderment and excitement for so many journeys as well. Because I can see the evolution. I can feel the soul's evolvement, recognizing itself over and over through the different sheddings of egoic constructs.
Yeah.
That we're again controlling, that we're manipulating, that we're trying to realize itself through an exterior mechanism. And when the ego gets to recognize itself through its internal mechanism, then it becomes part of the wholeness of you, not part of that aspect that would tend to enslave you by seeking outside for the validation or control of the power. That's the power that we're claiming now, right?
Oh my God, John, that's so good because you just showed, you gave just like a clinic in when people feel controlled by external, you know, reference points and how that's actually showing them this thing that you just articulated, which is what's power and what are we? Yeah. Yeah. That was beautiful.
Yeah. But again, you reflect that so beautifully and you invite that in through your essence. So even in this, y'all, listen to Christine, I want you to be aware of the resonance that's being provided here. The words are beautiful and they're elegant and they're uplifting and our minds are going, yes, yes, maybe. What about this? What about that? There's a vibrational tone. And Christine, you do this in so many different ways. In your transmission, through the sound, through your singing, through the singing bowls, through your spoken word. It's the vibration, it's the essence that emanates from the field that offers the froth to rise. And to really be crystallized in the potential of our being, recognizing itself and its becoming. And so when you do that with clients, and you do this consistently when you and I are in session or get in, when we talk about, hey, this is coming up and what do you think? It's like that the illumination rises, when the doubts and the fears give way to a pathway of awareness and choice. Mm-hmm. And regardless of the pathway that you take, there's no wrong choice, there's the experience. How is it, are you consciously aware that you're doing this in session?
Yeah, I think I probably would have, and thank you, first of all, for pointing at the vibrational transmission, because that's super intentional. And now I would say, yeah, it's just there. Thank you. I feel like one of the gifts that I'm fortunate enough and blessed enough to experience is that I really see people in their mastery. I see their being. I see their completely free, infinite self. And that is always what guides a session. That's why that thing that you're describing happens, is because I recognize whoever I'm working with, and they're working with me, obviously, to be the masterful guide of their life. And yet, sometimes, because of the layers of identity, the layers of the veils, really, that for all the different reasons that are here that cloud our perception, people aren't able to experience their own mastery, their own wisdom, their own total illumination. And for whatever reason, I can see that. I really feel that, and I experience that, and allow you, that other person on the other side of that, of this dance that we do, to show me that, which then is how I guide you, is really kind of from you, through me to you, if that makes sense. And when I say you, it's, yeah, it's like the most exalted, spacious, beautiful, eternal version of you. And I get to just behold that and help show it to you, so that those choices and those awarenesses come from the inside out, even though it might be my mouth helping us to see it. Yeah.
What are you finding in individual experiences? Again, we've talked about the collective ad nauseum on so many different calls and shows. It's wonderful. But what are you finding in the individuals that are coming to you, that you're working with, that's really taking root and wanting to grow in new directions?
Oh my God, they blow me away, actually. So the people that I'm working with are having these massive, we talk about awakening, and awakening to me isn't just moving into an awareness, but it's actually that embodiment of it. It's actually living that sort of core in to out. And I'm watching people do that. I'm watching people wake up to and embody, oh, I'm carrying something that is massive. I'm an activator for divine feminine energies on this planet. Oh, I have this gift of, and this is what's been happening a lot, like people's gifts spontaneously opening up as we work together. So it's not just light language, but it's also power of presence. Like they're coming into centeredness and having the courage to be what they are 100% as we move forward. And almost in a way, like all appearances aside, because really when we look at the collective, not only is the volume up loud on things, but that's also what everything appears to be. And so what I'm finding is this other layer of reality. The people I'm working with, they're just going, yes, 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 and really are less and less and less persuaded by all the other appearances in the collective. And so it's like, it's incredibly inspiring. It's really beautiful. There's a lot of new deep embodiment. And the other thing that's been happening is the energies have amplified in me and the gifts. And it's almost like life just began, really. Like whatever came the first 50 years, fine. But this, like this period I'm in now, is what life really is. And so the energies are so potent. There's a lot of, it's just funny. It's what used to happen to me. There's a lot of going unconscious, like getting completely knocked out, getting like the vibration being so strong, like the easiest way for it to reach people in the deepest way is just to unconscious, so that everything gets in. I mean, it's been remarkable. It just depends on what we're doing, but yeah, it's beautiful to see. It's actually, it looks nothing like what's in the collective, and of course we're all part of that, but we're not really. And what I just keep seeing actually looks nothing like that. Yeah.
I love that. We are, but we're not, but we are, but we're not.
Yeah, well, all those mutually exclusive realities that all exist at the same time. Yeah, and they don't reconcile, and they're all true. Absolutely, that's the world we're playing in, right? It's like, of course that's true, but over here it's not true, and that's the world I'm increasingly in.
Yeah.
And I will acknowledge that other thing is true, but only as long as I need to for some practical purpose, buying groceries. And other than that, that's actually not what's happening. Yeah.
That's fascinating. So you spoke of embodiment, and y'all, we're going to get into transmission in a little bit and open up to Q&A here in just a minute as well. So if you have a question that you want to ask, type it into the Q&A box or raise your hand. I'd love to see y'all on video. I love it when y'all come on. So If you can turn your video also when I call on you, that would be fantastic. The embodiment piece. What can you suggest for those of us who are embodying even more, or to start acknowledging that we're embodying, or to facilitate that process? Because there's two worlds, it seems like, and of course they're all connected, and we, in human form, we can't help but to do both. But I
Yeah.
found it was very much in the spiritual, and what we would call the spiritual community. There's a lot of going out to get information, coming back and meditating to elevate a status, going into ascensionary processes, which are beautiful. And then there's very linear type of practices. It's like, I'm gonna get the job, go to work, earn a paycheck, do this, plan, so that I can be free in another type of aspect. And those worlds are merging in different ways. I truly believe the foundations of both are cracking, because there's a new opening that is occurring in the middle of it, like an apex of it somehow, where we're bridging both worlds. And as divinely human as where we are in this experience that we have, for me, it has to be both. There can't be any separation in it. And how are you finding that we are embodying that apex?
Yeah. Wow. God. Yeah, there can't be any separation, right? I mean, if we're really talking about being all that we are, that is a unity field. And so there isn't really a distinction anymore between divine and human, or human and being, or it's one thing. Absolutely. For me, where that comes down to, like, one key thing that just popped in when you first brought this forward was being willing to let go of reference points. And that's kind of a general idea, but it's actually really, really huge. Like, so simple exercise for this. We name things. Names that we give things are the first part of meaning that we assign to something. And humans do meaning through language and linear thought and words. So we can be present to something, to its purely energy to energy. And this is like moving beyond, like, so when we're people, instead of role to role, we might be soul to soul, but even beyond soul to soul, we're just presence to presence, energy to energy. And this can be bridged to anything. This can be in work that we're doing, like, that's super linear, and it can also be when we're off in a transcendent meditative place. So I'm going to be present right now to this thing in front of me and this body, and that's my cat weighing in. Hello, Arabelle. With energy, this is energy, you are, and I'm not going to give it a name. I'm going to be present, like, here it is, vibrationally. And everything shifts, like literally boundaries start dissolving, ideas about what something is. And then I can pull out even farther to a reference point. Like, I'm going to be observing this energy to energy thing. And if I need to come in and do linear, look at me, my mouth is still working. My left brain's fine. I've got language. But everything that I'm looking at and everything that I'm experiencing is now in a new vibrational dimension, because we just opened up more space around it, because we let go of reference points. And suddenly it's soft and open and kind of exciting and beautiful. And I wonder, and my left brain works fine in this. It just feels really, really different. And then I'm also much more able to say, well, what does my presence choose? If I'm looking at something linear, I'm going to say, am I going to get this job, or am I going to move over there? Or what am I going to do about this or that? What does this presence that's here watching it all know and choose and be? And it's a whole different narrative than moving only from those other things that you described. Really, at its core, is when we've compartmentalized and moved into the left brain linear aspect and forgotten the whole. It's part of what's healing the wounded masculine on the planet in this moment and in general. It's beautiful that it's the Feast of Magdalene today. This thing that we're talking about is essentially that. It's this receiving container of being. And it's very open. Yeah.
That's such a beautiful explanation of that. And it opens up so much possibility. And I find it really interesting, because lately I've been in conversations where I've said one thing, the other person said something else, we meant the same thing, but we said it differently. And there had to be, and I truly believe this is happening also. It's part of how the world is reconciling our differences. It's going, oh, wait a second, I don't feel that perhaps I was received or what I said was interpreted in the way, because it felt, I could feel empathically that there was a little bit of discord. It's like, hey, this is what I meant. What did you mean by that? And by just asking the conversation in innocence rather than, or with the absolute surrendering of being wrong. It's like, okay, I'm wrong. It's like, I'd rather be in congruent energy than be right.
Yeah, we can be right or we can be wrong. Yeah, right. We can be right or we can be wrong, or we can actually be present. That's like neither.
Right.
Yeah.
And so even the clarity and the maturity of asking, hey, I feel something's just a little off, or I understood this, is this right? And even that, we found that even by saying different things, we meant the same thing, but our languaging wasn't bridging the emotionality of it, the intention of it, the luminosity that was streaming through both of us. But I was speaking Chinese and she was speaking Russian. And so it's just, it was leading into it and opening to that. But again, letting go of reference points. And I think that we become so used to a vernacular that does have reference points that we create closed door options. And so that's huge, what you shared.
Thank you. And I'm just going to call myself out because you literally just gave like a description of what's been really up for me in my life, and my partner really like illuminating this for me and having those very disconnects. And I'm always like, if we can meet in the energy, and then it's like, yes, but we're in human bodies and we actually we're going to be talking through the language, because I'm always up here in these big swaths of energy and then there's like the specifics of the language. And it's just been so beautiful to learn more deeply, to master presence communication. I'll call it that. I've never said that before, but it's like staying really aligned energetically, which is where you said, yeah, I can let go of being right or whatever, because actually I just want to be here. I want to be connected. I want to be congruent. And so there's presence communication where it's very simple to go, I heard this, or did you mean blah, or whatever. And God, it actually undoes those polarities that we were talking about. It opens up space. Huge. Yeah.
And it creates intimacy, and that intimacy, our hearts melt and relax and open.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful what's being brought in. I want to get into should we go into transmission first, or should we go to Q&A first? What do you think?
I think we should do Q&A. Actually, well, I don't know. I'll follow your lead, but I know that with the transmission, everybody might be super quiet after that, which is fine. Yeah.
Let's do Q&A first because there's some information coming through. Ariana, you had your hand up and you put it down, and I want to call on you. So if you put your hand back up, that'll tell me that you're willing to interact with us. So before I go to Ariana, hopefully, she raised her hand. Ariana, all right, I'm going to make you panelist. And once I do, I'm going to ask you to turn on your video and unmute yourself on your side. So hopefully that won't take too long. All right, Ariana, you're a panelist now. I'm looking forward to seeing you.
Sweet, yeah.
Hello.
That was quick. Hey, John, it's nice to see you again. Yes. So, Christine, my question really was, so I had a question actually kind of coming on, and then as you spoke, you said, you know what, and like you lit up as you said it, you said, you know what, it's really our time. And as you said those words, there was so much information that came in with that. And I know that that's not totally on what it is that you're describing, but it just felt like if that feels congruent, like just to open that up, it just felt like there was information there.
Yeah.
Because you were speaking specifically into like, it is our time here now. And it just felt like that was part of what it is that you're saying. It's that embodiedness. And I just was wondering if you'd speak more to that.
For sure. Thank you. Oh, God, what a beautiful question. Yeah, so much love. So it's actually about our mastery. And what's interesting is what I'm really seeing right now is you asked that question. And so then this pertains to you and also to many that are listening, is that the veils of perception that convince us of anything apart from our power and our giftedness and our another word, I'll just keep going. Anything that it convinces us apart from that, and it's asking, God, the resistance is here. I'm just going to address it directly. Mm. There are energies that really don't want us to be what we are. I'll just say it plainly. And it's time for us to know that any time that we're in doubt or in confusion or in separation or in scatteredness or in a feeling of vulnerability and weakness in terms of our own power and presence, that is simply another veil level to be removed. There's nothing to process there. There's nothing to know about it. There's nothing to do with it. There's nothing to overcome except to let it fade away. This is true for you and for so many in the audience, that the thing that we think of as real, whatever that interference is, whatever that thing that it says about us, what we are and what we aren't, what we can do and what we can't do, what's possible for us and what isn't, none of that is actually, at this point, for so many, any personal interference. It has nothing to do with personal story and with anything for you to excavate or change. It has simply for you to do with turning your full attention back to the universe within you to create from the alignment at your core and give it no mind, give it no matter. We are conditioned to look at the problems as things that we are empowered by solving. We are conditioned to look at, we feel to heal, and we go into the darkness in order to emerge stronger, that we learn through lessons. That's the thing that I see changing, that now we can still do that. All ways are always available. But this way of knowing that there's nothing to do except to simply give it no mind and choose the alignment with what we are will solve all of the quote problems. Yeah, that's the time that's here. The exponential realization of our power and our embodied mastery, when we do that, there's no limit. You can feel it. There's no ceiling. It just keeps going. And like we think of stars and universes and more universes, but there's actually no limit. Okay. One of those veils that comes in that has the most easiest path in is anything that we connect to story. And so anything that we connect to what's personal to us. So this is the invitation, is to live in the transpersonal space, to live from the presence of soul rather than from the presence of person. Let person play and do what it does. I love my person. My person is fun. She's great. I enjoy her. She's never driving the car. She doesn't get the wheels to the car. So when identity from story or this must be true about me, it comes in as a persuasive appearance because we've known it for a long time, but that's not what the time is now. This is our time now, beyond those veils. Yeah.
Wow. So Ariana, I have to ask you, hearing this and coming in with your question with a knowing of the answer, what's your awareness?
Super sweet, because it's like, I wrote down, I'm like, you ready for this? Okay. So I just allowed that energy to keep flowing in. Because the thing is I've heard it and I've taken steps into it. And it's like, and I've taken steps back. So to be able to actually sit here and just say, actually, I'm taking this in. Actually, universe, this is what I'm choosing. And anything that's of the mind, it's like, yeah, actually, it will be a dance. And I can see the loosening of that. And it's just staying with the here and the now. And yeah, it just feels like it's like conditioning for the yesness. And that is a yes.
Come back and listen to this transmission from Christine. It's a vibrational attunement. And you can say potentially yes to it. And I will tell all of us that we've been too polite in owning this, that we've considered other people's ego for way too long as to what we're capable of and what we're not, that we've been too afraid for too long of how much we carry within ourselves, that we've been too afraid to be too much love, that we've been shy with this aspect of divinity that we emanate all the time, and that we've contained it for the sake of societal conditioning and culture that served the tribal mentality, that served culture, but at the expense of the natural state of being, of who you are. The rose doesn't contain itself for the sake of the other roses. The birds don't stop singing because it doesn't sing as beautifully as the one sitting next to it on the branch. It expresses its divinity with its pure force of nature being emanated through it. So it's time. It's time for us. We're at that point where we're bursting at the seams and we can no longer hold ourselves back for the sake of another, for the sake of their limitation, for the sake of their fear, for the sake of the veil that keeps them in the shadow, that pretends to tell them that they're not the divine as well. It is your time to show them what's possible, not your time to cower with them in the corner. Listen to Christine's interpretation, her transmission of this. Her transmission brought this up in me. And I said this on another call before, and I'm being asked by divinity to claim it again. I am willing to show up as that divinity for you so that you can see reflected as a possibility of what you are. I claim that within myself. It's not an egotistical thing. It's the most loving thing that I know to do. So thank you for bringing this into our stream of consciousness today. You're asking because you know it.
Well, I got that it's actually egotistical to not step into. It's the ego to not. So thanks.
It's love. You're just love. Thank you, Ariana. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. Christine, wow. Thank you for that transmission because it ignited something.
And thanks for like taking him like to the next level too. That's incredible. Yeah, when we really are that showing up and claiming that divinity, it's not even possible to be arrogant because the part that would be arrogant is not in the field.
Yeah.
It's just truth. It's just truth of the brilliance of light. And it's true for everybody. And there's no hierarchy in it. And there's no ahead and behind. And it's just true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Amazing. Ariana, again, thank you for coming through. Let's go now to Jenny G. You're becoming quite prominent on these calls. I love it. I've just made you a panelist. And so again, if you can show up on video, that'd be awesome. And if you can unmute yourself, that would be quite helpful to me.
Here we go, unmute and start video. Hey.
Jenny, hi.
Thank you for this beautiful truth that you're sharing with us. And the question that I feel is, can you help me with the veils that are still keeping me from showing up in my truth?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, for you, really the question, and this is for a lot of people, it's so beautiful. So I'll just ask you this first, Jenny, and thanks for the question. What are you most afraid of? And you don't actually need to answer out loud. Just be with that energy for a minute. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then I would love to also point you beyond that, because the part that is afraid is actually a veil. So I want you to look at that part in a new way, not the part that you need to be in and like speak from and solve from, but to literally just take a breath and look at that part and go, oh, there it is. There's that interface. There's that interference. There's that actually beautiful creation. I mean, it is, everything is just a creation of energy. And so we be present with that. And I felt like you knew the fear right away. Like you can feel it. It's like its core and it's deep down, like sort of second and root chakra. So I'm just going to breathe a little presence into that with you. Yeah. And then when we do this, we simply move into the space of transcendent presence that witnesses that with unconditional love. And there's nothing to do with it, but be present. Everything is here in this presence. And then you feel like it just goes, oh, huh. And I'll notice then also how that thing that John and I were speaking about, your vantage point shifts and you become the bigger space that's being present, whatever the veil is, instead of going and looking out from behind the veil, which is actually super distorted anyway. You see what I mean about like trying to, we go into it to figure it out and come out the other side. But actually when we go in, we're just like, oh, we're actually adding energy to the insideness of that creation and the thickness of the veil. So we don't do anything with that. We go bigger and more spacious and feel now. This was a question actually that came for Ariana too, but so I know I can feel it. You've had that experience, you know, that experience of your transcendent self, of your infinite nature, of this hugeness of your divinity. You know that, yes? Okay, you've experienced it. Like you're like, look, and part of us shies away, like from what John was talking about, like, oh, I probably shouldn't claim that bigness. And yet that bigness is just going, actually, this is just what is. Like, how can God be less than itself? How can all that is be tiny, you know? And so this is the part that we're speaking to, right? If you, once we have that aspect of awakening, then we put our attention there on that energy as the witness and the observer that we are, the love that you are. And just, I'm going to invite you again, whatever the pieces are that have formed the trauma that has led to the fear, pull back and be present with that with love as many times as it takes, but continue to experience your life from that expanded place. Like, give that your attention. Feel how your vibrational field goes really big, high, light, and kind of spacious. It's like there's more space in your cells, in the molecules when you do that. And everything has a different possibility when you're in that space. Okay, so from there, just together, take a look at whatever that veil is that you perceived before and notice what's different about it.
It's an illusion.
It really is. And it's super convincing, you know? I mean, appearances are like so freaking persuasive. That's what the collective is. We know that one. And so this is what I'm saying. Our time is now. This is our mastery. You're the only one who can choose this other vantage point over and over and over. You're the only one who can claim the total expansiveness of your divinity. Nobody hands that to us except us. Yeah.
I think that the fear also for me is just, I mean, I'm at peace with where I am, but it's the not knowing what is next and what my role is, which I am completely fine to be patient with. But I do admit it does get frustrating. And I can't tell if I'm holding myself back or if this is just how it's supposed to be.
Well, what you showed me in that is that that's a creation of your current vantage point. So of course that's what you see and experience right now, because that's a creation of your current conscious vibration vantage point. So actually the same answer, if there's an answer, I mean, it's just an option really always, would apply, which is, because you know what that view looks like. You've actually looked at that hallway a lot. And that's a vibrational stream of reality every time you look at it that gets a little bit more creative juice. So, you know, continue to move out and open into a place where there are other viewpoints, there's other vistas available, and see what else you notice, you know? Does that make sense? That's awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for calling in. So good. And something, Jenny, that I want to invite you to do, come back and listen to the replay. And at one point where Christine was saying that you are the divine, that you are God, if you will, you shook your head and you looked away in doubt. I noticed. I trained myself to notice those things. I want you to go back in and see it, just so that you can reflect and have compassion for that part that maybe doesn't feel comfortable being that for whatever reason. And just by witnessing yourself in a little bit of that vulnerability, embrace that vulnerability. It's like, I'm here to hold you and love you, and we're going to be what we are. And it's all of it. And love that part of you. And then be willing to be the magic, the bigness, truly the love that you are in all aspects of it. And you can't screw that up. There's nothing you can screw up by being that. So it's wonderful. Yeah. Thank you so much, Jenny. Christine, it's, God, what you bring through is just so, it's Yeah, I just feel like this with you. It's just such alignment. It's just like everything just expands. It's so beautiful. And I'm sure y'all can feel that also. Again, it's that heart, it's that place of openness. I didn't even want to go into non-judgment because that creates a negative connotation, even though I just said it. But what would be the opposite of non-judgment, of being received for all that you are? Um, I think we need to define our vernacular in a way to include those very godly like descriptions for ourselves. Just so wonderful. And in those descriptions, in the energy of that, into what is available through different transmissions. Again, we're going to get into the transmission with Christine here in a little bit, but there's the opportunity to get into that vibration with Christine in the special offer. There's a private session is available, and an amazing sweet, it's, I don't even know what to call it, portal of expansion through these different facilitations that Christine's providing in the special offer that I highly recommend that you guys follow along in the special offer page as Christine invites you into what's flowing through her. So y'all click on the special offer button on the webcast page. It's right above the video where you're watching the call from. If you happen to jump on another page by any chance on the Zoom call, just go back into your browser and type in beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Christine22, and it'll take you to the special offer page. And Christine, if you would, prior to us getting into the transmission, guide us through this amazing package that you have here for us.
Oh, thanks, John. You know, yeah, so kind of at the core of it is a series actually of 14 heart field transmissions, and they are potent. A little bit goes a long way. You get to experience them in 3 different formats. Group transmission, one with a limited replay, one that has an unlimited replay. I've never offered that before because that energy is quite a thing in the field. Yeah. So, but that's here for this audience. And then also an incredibly powerful 10 days of remote transmissions, which are individual. You get to choose what it is you're addressing, how you're going to work with that energy. And I'll be tuning into every day. You choose the day that you start up through about the end of September. And I'll be choosing, I'll be tuning in with you every single one of those days for 10 days. It's actually the fastest, quickest, most powerful way that I know to support you in whatever it is you want, because it's literally about that vibrational alignment, and it's about you as the master choosing that. There's also an amazing class, Embodied Being. So sometimes, like I was saying, when I work with people and we work with these energies, their gifts start opening up, and suddenly, like even my mother started becoming clairaudient, and she's like, well, I just heard it and I knew this thing. Well, that's never happened to me. And I said, Mom, it never happened to me either, except now that it does. You know, I wasn't born this way. This is this thing that's developed, which is why it's so fun to be a guide for people, because I've actually developed the skills. I've learned the facilities, and then I've dived into the energy. So I get to guide you into that, whether it's how you are or not. And even people in that have been in that class, they have clairs. Somebody asked, what's the word for all 4 clairs? I just call it multi-clairsensory. So that's there, and you get to learn things like lucid dreaming and telepathy and inner vision. But then we really go into the core of what's going on here, which is that cellular embodiment and living as presence and choosing from the soul purpose rather than the personal purpose, and letting those two actually be one thing. I guess I'm still speaking about it in a dualistic framework because we're so tuned to, you know, what the individual personality kind of thinks life is about. So it's really bringing all of us into resonant alignment.
I like that you speak to it from the spirit energies, because okay, yes, there is a possibility to go from 0 to 100 at once, but most of us aren't there. So there is the integration, there's the flow, there's this process of acclimating in a certain way that we're not climbing Mount Everest with one jump, and then we're not used to the atmosphere. And so there's actually grace in the awareness of both and where they happen to meet.
Thank you. One of the first group heart field, one of transmissions that I did when I was really doing like the pilot program to see how this worked with people, because I really wanted to study it and work with it. I watched several beings come in and modulate the energy so that it could be, one of them was Kuan Yin, to be really delivered gently and compassionately into people's systems, because it is a high voltage. You know, you don't want to run stadium lights through your 40-watt bulb, which is how I kind of started in some of my experiences and came out going, oh my God, what just happened? You know, I love that you're speaking into the grace. And I find that while it's really potent, it has a gentleness to it so that it, you know, we can move with it at our pace and in the way that is beneficial for us. Yeah. There's a bunch of other stuff in there. There's a video, I really spoke into the energetics of COVID in a very powerful way. For me, it was like, okay, it was like so empowering, so crystal clear. Again, that call to what our time is now, and it got censored off of YouTube. It was like, oops, somebody doesn't want that information out there. How interesting. Yeah, so I put that in the package so everybody could have it. Yeah. And then, of course, the opportunity to work one-on-one. I love that. It's so incredibly powerful. And I keep finding that because the work gets more and more powerful and streamlined and potent, it's a half-hour session, but an amazing amount gets done. Like, yeah, so
You're
much.
fast and you do a lot. You've also been trained in the shamanic arts, and you bring that into the lucid dreaming and other aspects of it, which for me is so fun and illuminating. And learning how to work in dream time through symbolism, through the archetypes and the energies, and you bringing the amplitude of your light into that awareness. Y'all, this is not only transformational, it's immersive in a way that you're going to enjoy being in the experience. I know how you teach, Christine, and what you're bringing.
I know, you see it all, John.
I do see you.
I know.
It's so good. Now, in the second item in package A, there's a 10-day heart-filled transmissions. What is that?
That's the individual remote ones where you choose the day that you begin. I'll be focusing with you individually 10 minutes a day, and it's okay if you do it at a different time. You don't have to be available at the same time every day. You will receive that energy at the time that you intend. It's obviously outside the time-space continuum. And there's actually a sound alchemy that goes with that. That's just over 10 minutes long. So that's with the crystal bowls, including this massive super grade that's phenomenal for opening up spaces of consciousness. So part of what that does, what the sound does, is it literally entrains your brain waves to a deeper meditative state. And so it's like it'll help usher you into theta, even delta. You could be an alpha, but it'll go deeper. And the beauty of that is that when we're in those states is actually where lucid dreaming happens. It's where the liminal state visions, it's where all of those interdimensional experiences in the shamanic journeying and in all of those states, that's where they happen. So as you allow your brain to drop into that, you get more of the experience of the energy that's coming in your awareness. The energy is going to be doing what it does, no matter what. Being with you and potentizing what your choices are and all of that. And as you listen and tune in intentionally, you're going to have more awareness of what's happening, which is empowering, because it just, you go, wow, look at this. Okay, now there's this, or I saw this. And I love that you mentioned the shamanic part, because one of the presences that's been coming through me now in these last couple of years is actually from shamanic tradition in Bali and the journeying that I've done there. And it's an ancient grandmother who was quite a healer. And she comes through in the class. She comes through frequently in sound transmissions. She almost came through earlier, but it was so early on in the call, I had to like hush her down because she was, I was like, not now, we're just getting started. And I'm never really sure when she's gonna just burst through. It's pretty spontaneous. See, I'm getting like super hot. Whew, yeah, she's powerful, but she's so deeply healing. And so there's that energy is in many of the things that you'll experience as well, and others. Yeah, it's really wonderful.
So much fun. Y'all are gonna have a great time with Christine. I know it. So, okay, everybody, package A that includes the remote sessions is $97. 2 payment option on that as well. And then package B includes everything in package A, plus a 30-minute private session with Christine. God, y'all take advantage of that. That's $177, 2 payment option on that as well. It's phenomenal. Y'all, special offer button. Click on it. Super easy to check out. You'll be able to schedule your session. You'll start receiving some of the downloads. Put your information in for when you want to start doing the remote healing and get to work with Christine. Again, I see, like, so I'm projecting, but it's just, I feel your heart's so in alignment with mine's, and just the intention, not even the intention, the conviction of love for other people and seeing everybody in their mastery and inviting them to that remembrance and the ownership of that. It's so strong with Christine. And so I cannot recommend working with Christine enough. Special offer is a fantastic way to get in at an amazing price. And with the two payment options, it makes it just tremendously accessible. Again, click on the special offer button or go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Christine22. And Christine, before we get into the transmission, I want to take another live caller. And so I'm going to take Marty. I am going to make you a panelist, ask you to unmute yourself and undo your video. And while Marty gets set up, Christine, I want to thank you for the generous offer in the package and putting this all together. Oh, and in the private sessions, I think there's an option. People are going to feel into the transmission. We're doing a transmission, but that heart transmission that we were talking about earlier, there's an opportunity to have a session in that capacity. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, we can do anything you want there, really. And a lot of times those will come through as part of a session anyway, because it's just so potent and powerful, connected right there, you know, in real time. Yeah, with all the energies flowing.
So y'all just wait. You're going to feel this. It blew me away when I went through the experience, and it was so simple. It's so profound. And I find that's the grace. So, all right, let's go now. Is it Marty? Marty Seeger, if you would unmute yourself, it would be wonderful to talk to you. All right, Marty, I'm good, but I can't do this for you. It won't let me.
There you go.
Marty, hi. So we still can't hear you, even though you are unmuted. And let's see if we can get there. And then Crystal, I saw that you had a question. I'd love it if you'd raise your hand again, because I am guided to take another question. But Marty, I want to hear you. Oh, there you are. We kind of see you, and I think we can hear you now. No, we still can't hear you.
Shoot.
I'm sorry, Marty. Maybe you can type in your question and we'll try to get to it before the end of the call. I'm sorry it didn't work out. So let's see here. All right, Crystal, we're going to you now. I'm going to promote you to a panelist. I knew I was going to take another question.
Okay, I'm a panelist now, yeah?
You are welcome. It's good to see
Hi,
you.
Marcy. Always hate when that happens. Hi, Christine. How are you?
Hi, I'm great. Good to see you.
Good. Hello, John. Thank you for taking my question.
Absolutely.
I had a curiosity. You piqued my interest when you said early on something about neutrality and how that external energies can kind of claim that space if there's a certain, was it neutrality or can you say more about that? Because it did pique my interest, and it is something that I have been wrestling with since all of, you know, the worldly unrest has been going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I would call it availability to other things. I think that's kind of what I was speaking into. So it's, let me say it this way. What we stay informed about forms us. It becomes form in as us. And what matters to us becomes matter. So that's kind of like the simplest thing. So there's this balance between, well, I need to be responsibly informed to be part of this world that I'm in. And then all of the ways that that co-ops our energy. So I would encourage us all to really retake stock of actually how much you need to be informed about, because literally that forms you. It becomes your vibrational consciousness, which then out pictures as your body and your experiences and your emotions and your thoughts. And so, and it's sort of like what it relates to what John was saying, which is, somebody else's, we're still allowing somebody else's limitation or their fear or their vantage point to create who we are. So there's a tremendous unhooking that gets to happen for each of us. I find that this is usually done in pieces, right? It's that grace that John was speaking about, that we continue to choose, okay, that's there, but what if that doesn't have anything to do with me? And something will come in and go, but it does, because blah, 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 blah. And you go, okay, actually what's happening right now and what's true for me in this moment, let me turn my vision inward to my heart. I learned this actually from a shaman in Bali, and he was taking me on a journey, and he said, and then I'm going to ask you where we went. And it was like a quiz. And I was like, I don't know how to do that. Because like, how do I see what you see? How do I know I'm going to see what you see? And in that moment, it was shown to me. It was like, oh, I keep trying to look out to see what's going on, even on the inner plane. Look in to see what's going on. Look to the greater reality within you. And so I turned my vision inward to my own heart, where the universe resides in all of us. And I saw everywhere that we went. I was like, well, we went on this mountain, and then we went to this lake, and then we did this, and then we did that. And he said, and what's in this bottle? And I was like, the two of us. And it was amazing. And it showed me the power of the orientation to the core alignment within of spirit and soul. And your energy is amazing. And actually your question of this is totally lighting up an activation for a whole bunch of people. So thank you for coming back to this. It's just, I'm like, it's electric, actually. It's really, really amazing. And so there's this choice of, I will internally reference no matter what it is, because if I externally reference, my energy's already gone out there, and somebody else gets to move it around like a puppet. They just do. It's just what happens when we externally reference our creation. So it becomes a very distorted marionette show instead of a beautiful inner movie. So continue to turn the focus back in. And for you in particular, and so many people, be willing to have nobody get you. And nobody agree, because any part of us that needs to be gotten or have agreement is actually the part that's not doing this. That's the part that's going to take us out. That's the limited subset of ego personality within the whole. That's the part that wants to be okay with everybody and to make peace. So if that part's co-opting your consciousness and your awareness, we just get to go, oh God, I get you. Give it a little pet. Like I just, oh, I know, sweetheart, I know. I just give myself a little pet. Exactly. You're just like, you're doing great, but yeah, but whatever. That's actually not really what we're doing, Yeah. And you can sit down over there, because this is this beautiful, beautiful divine mystery play that we're going to ride together. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Thank you, Christine. That was really helpful.
You're welcome. Thanks for the question.
And I love that you saw Crystal as I'll call it as a catalyst.
And
the question, catalyzing other people's awareness. I know Crystal. And so you're such a catalyst. You just are. So even when you said to be afraid of, or being willing to not be in other people's point of views, the next level, the next opportunity from that is being fully, and I can't say fully because fully is a thing, it's a judgment, being in the acceptance that you're catalyzing people into the opportunities that you're stepping into as well. So it's if you will, being the heretic, being the one that's out there, being the one that's rocking the boat, because there's that line, and then you can't help but to become an example for others. And then that you're kind of standing out, you're being more in the light. And then what? Then not only have I changed and I don't agree, but now I'm standing out as not agreeing. And we have to step in. We're being called to step into that new paradigm, to go, hold on a second, something ain't right with this pony ride. And offering a different perspective. So you as a catalyzer is a gift to all of us. So thank you. Christine, you saw right through it. It's amazing.
Well said, John. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Oh my goodness. I love playing with you.
Likewise.
Oh, Hank, I want to invite everyone, maybe have a drink of water like Crystal just did. Take a deep breath and relax and gift yourself this time for you. And just, I cannot wait. Christine, whenever you're ready, whenever
ready.
you from us, this transmission, just thank you in advance.
Thank you. And thank you for everyone that's tuning in and choosing to experience the vibrations that are you beyond so much of what our awareness has known until this point. And we join with Christine in letting you know that yes, your time is now. There is so much help within you as the host of those of us around you that know your capacities and see them clearly, for we do not suffer from the veils that cloud your perceptions. We see you right where you are and fully beyond any perceived limitation in your consciousness. For it simply is this, it is a perceived limitation in your consciousness that is easily shifted with a new choice and an openness to embody more that you are. We thank you for your willingness to rise to this level, for each vibrational breath that you breathe in a new octave gifts the whole, for we are the whole. We meet you in this space of the whole. We meet you in the space where we are one. We thank you for your time, for we know for you, where you are, that time is an important thing. We invite you into the space beyond time with this energy that comes through to greet you and meet you at the core of what you are, from the core of all that is. So I'm going to begin this transmission. Generally for these transmissions, I find myself sitting in silence. So to know that it likely won't be a time with sound coming through me, though sometimes it does. And I will be following and watching the energy with all of us here on the call together and all that listen to the replay. And we'll let you know when we're finished. I invite you to be comfortable as you receive this transmission, and let your physical form soften and be gentle, to allow the space inside of your head to open and be spacious and soft as well. Know that there is nothing that greets you today that is not what you are already, and that you are the master of modulating this for your life in the ways that you deem the most beneficial, powerful, and expansive and healing for you. I'm checking to see if there's anything else that's asking to be said. Just so much gratitude for each of you here and for the life that you embody and that you are. And tremendous compassion for the perceptions of limitation that are still here. So I'm aware now that there is a particular vibrational orientation to this transmission, which is in fact dissolving the limits, the perceptions of limitation. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, there we go. All right, here we go. Okay, beautiful. We're wrapping up. I invite you to bring your attention back to your breath, to your body, where you are, to your presence. Just bringing your awareness, and we'll call all of your presence, attention, awareness into this body now, returning like a 360-degree firework in every direction, drawing that energy back right into the center of you from all the places you may have gone, to be present here and now. Yeah, great.
Wow. Actually, I want to hang out, and I want to invite the opportunity for you guys to share your experience. What was your experience in that, Christina? And then I'll share mine, which was, it'll be vulnerable, but it's so good.
Good. Wow. Okay. So it began actually with a presence coming. They're different every time. There's some beings I've just recently begun working with, and they actually come into my body, and they are extremely highly evolved and incredibly compassionate and radiate an amazing golden light. And that energy came in really powerfully through my body. Our entire field elevated. There was a bit of debris field clearing, I would say, that had to happen. The air was like sort of clearing the space. We went, what would we say? We flew really high into this incredible space of receiving. What I noticed there was that for a lot of people, the reason the veils end up, the interference comes, like what I saw being addressed by the energy, was your nervous system. Because when the nervous system flares up, it's too persuasive in the body to be able to convince anything else otherwise. So there was a tremendous amount of help for the nervous system to actually just settle and relax and let things go, so that we have the power and presence to make those soul-inspired choices, those choices based in alignment. Wow. And then it just got so radiant and bright. And I literally, what I saw as a symbol for what was happening with people was this peacock feather, just huge, like cosmically. So the gift of power, abundance, presence, beauty, God presence, and just like taking off in your celestial realms, in the etheric realm of what you are, like huge blossoming and expansion. And at the end, I saw all of that funneled down into the physicality. I've never seen any of this before. It's always different. And it was like it came into each as a Christ. So I saw the master of each person walking like in sandals and in the simplest form of servant to the God that you are. God, that was so beautiful. I mean, it was like all the way into the embodiment. So it went from the celestial realms and all the way into walking on the earth as Christ, and that was pretty stunning.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
A life in the day of Christine. It's good to hang out in that energy all the time. Wow, so beautiful. So Judy, thank you. Judy says she felt high energy connection in her brain, clearing, receiving, and clarity. I get you, Judy, absolutely. My experience was, I'll share Martina's in a second. Martina's been awesome on the call, typing in and sharing also. I went into a space where I started getting elevated, and I felt God coming in a new way. And it was inviting me. It was showing me what I had access to. And we were talking about being the divine, and we're talking about being that much. We're talking about the internalization of that we've created outside of ourselves, from that masterful, powerful, and innocent and wonderful state. But as it was coming in, I noticed my nervous system is like, but I'm afraid, and yes, but I'm afraid, and yes, but it scares me, and yes. And so my body, the nervous system, again, because there's always that graduation, there's always the aspects. It'll never stop. It'll never stop. But to get to that place where that opening was occurring for me, and noticing the apprehension and being with it, and really feeling into, with a lot of compassion, but also, again, in the being it as well, not trying to bypass it, and saying, yes, but it scares me. Yes, but yes. And being willing to go through that alchemy consciously was powerful for me. And it really shows, again, what perhaps is becoming more available to me as it is for different people in different ways. But also that tender, that vulnerable side, the part that has been enculturated to fear it as well.
Wow. Yeah, that's so beautiful. And John, you showed me a couple things going on while you were speaking. And one is, yes, that's part of your personal journey. And another is that you agree to bring forward that aspect to be the proxy for that to shift for so many that you lead. So I would just, invite you in that, because yeah, I got a really strong yes on that. Like, yeah, take it to heart in whatever way it's asking to, and also go big with your vision of that and go, and also, does that have nothing to do with, quote, me? Because that's that individual in the God self. And so the individual is being willing to do its journey and act on behalf of others. And the God self is just like, I'm good. And then I feel like that invites us into an easier, like complete, like I love these words in this context, obedience to being, obedience to soul. It's just like, yeah, it's just yes. It's just yes, because that's the only thing that this person wants anyway, fears aside. And so I really heard you speaking. It was beautiful because I heard you speaking from within the thing that you experienced and from beyond it. It was just awesome. Yeah.
It was both. And well, that actually takes me to that Jeshua energy, that Christ energy
Yes.
of being in human form and being godly at the same time, going through the human experience, but being that simultaneously as a reflection of what's available, of what is.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like when you started talking, I was like, yep, that was it. And the way that it landed, and I'll just say this again, because in the end, it's so simple. It's just what we are, so there you were walking as Yeshua in the sandals, doing the thing that is to be God embodied, because it's just that simple. And I really felt like, it's so beautiful that you got to step up and God, just address and be compassionate and present with those human elements that come in that need our tender, loving presence from the most spacious place of presence that we are, because that's what they're asking for. We get to do that for it. Absolutely. And God, it's just so beautiful. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, thank you. And again, thank you for allowing me to speak into this and for being open to receive in this way. And I speak in a way that it's about us, and it's about me, and it's about us, and it's about me. And in that, we all get to have that intimacy with one another. And it invokes that intimacy, again, with the divine, with God, which is, that's the pain, that's the suffering, when we separate from that intimacy that's available to us. So wonderful. Let me read a couple more of the comments that came in. Marie said, sadness would arise and then recalibrate. I know, right? Thank you. I had the same thing. Marie also said she just received 2 peacock feathers 2 weeks ago directly from the peacocks. I love that. Karen, felt and still feeling a rewiring in my brain, particularly back of the head. And yes, felt Christ's energy coming in. Thanks, Christine. And one more, Deborah, I felt galactic surgery in my chest and rewiring and upgrading, loving and soft yet heavily profound. And this love just meets people where we are.
It does. It's amazing. I can't even tell you how grateful I am to be working with this energy. It's the biggest gift in my life. And literally, just like I said, it spontaneously appeared one day, and I understood my human role is to be with it accountably, so that's been my path where I was ready. It was just so beautiful. I got to share it with you and then bring it today. I feel so grateful because it's here, and we all, we're ready, and we are it, and we're ready to, know and be what we are. Yeah.
Suzanne Parkos, I felt more divine feminine presence activate within. So loving, compassionate, strong. Again, so many people really feeling the energies flowing through. Y'all, go deeper with Christine. It's the special offer. Again, it's special offer right above where the video is. You'll see the special offer button, or go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Christine22. The first package with $97 with all those modules, all the shamanic arts, going into the heart field transmission, going into, which is going to be the why can't I think of it? I just lost my brain, which is going to be the remote energy sessions.
Yeah, and actually you get four live group transmissions and 10 remote individuals. I mean, it's like,
oh, holy.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was like, let's do it all. Let's get, everybody's ready. We're ready.
That's awesome. So a 7-part video masterclass, embodied being, again, lucid dreaming, inner vision, telepathy. Telepathy is huge for me right now. It's been for like the last year. It's coming up so much. It's crazy. If I think of someone, they show up in my life 2 days later at the latest. It's just happening over and over and over again. And we're having communication before we even communicate. So cellular embodiment, from personal to transpersonal, soul-inspired choice and creation, and pure presence. Oh my God, it's so good.
It is. I can tell you that one is worth the whole thing. That one video, yeah, it's astounding.
The saying came to me inspired from my channel is time is where my presence is. Time is where my presence is. And I find that time, in the way that I used to calibrate to it, is weird. I can be with someone and not see them for 2 days, and it can feel like 2 years or 2 minutes. And
Yeah.
it depends on my presence is and my awareness and all that. So it's amazing. Again, the 10-day transmissions, where the live group calls, all that's amazing. Everybody, this is only $97 for all of this. And then if you want to add the 30-minute session to the package, you get everything for $177, and includes the 30-minute session. Someone's asking if they could change the 30-minute by paying extra for the 30-minute session to an hour.
Yeah, let's see, how can we do that? They could buy 2 at that price, and yeah, absolutely, I would do an hour. We can figure that out, or yeah.
Figure it out. It's buy the package, email Christine, and then you guys can figure it out. We'll make it easy.
So I forgot to mention, John, there's also this 90-minute sound alchemy album in there that's super potent. It's got a divine feminine track. It's got a long extended track for the nervous system. Interesting. I just knew that had to be in there. And of course we worked with that today. It's got a one for neutralizing the polar and dual fields. So beyond light and dark. It's actually also got one for health, like basically neutralizing viruses, microbes, everything. It's all in there. Yeah.
Do you sing or do voice transmissions?
Yeah, those all have vocal alchemy as well as the bowl, and it's all channeled. Yeah.
If y'all have never heard Christine sing before and transmit that way, you're operatic trained. Is that the right term? What is it? Yeah, you're
classically trained. Yeah.
Opera singer, and her voice is just celestial. It's like a whole transmission within itself. Y'all, this is an amazing package. I'm speaking a lot into it because I'm excited about it. Take advantage. It's in the special offer. You know where to find the button. You know where to find it on the website. Today's call, the replay will go out a little bit later. You can watch it on video, listen to an audio, whatever is easy for you. It'll be up all week through the weekend. So dive in more with Christine. Christine, is there a final message or anything that you want to leave our audience with today?
Yeah, I would just say the invitation is here to know your own heart. It is the heart of God.
I have to ask you, why do you do what you do?
Because I'm 100% obedient to my soul. It's really the only reason. I would speak into saying, and this is true for a lot of the audience, though they may not know it yet. I would suggest it's true for all of us. At those that come from the places that we do, I'm not here to evolve or to wake up or to learn things. I'm actually here to bridge. And I didn't know that until I knew that. And so once that became clear, every choice that I make and anything in my life is in service to that purpose. And I'm 100% aligned. And that's what I mean about life starting now. So I know if I can do that, anybody can do that. And I did all kinds of beautiful things, and they weren't misaligned. They just weren't connected. They were perfectly aligned. I love them all. They weren't fully connected at the level of soul expression and purpose as the God being. So that is actually my passion, is that I know if I can do that and I can find that and I can live that, and that is the great joy and bliss that it is, then that's why I love to guide other people in that. Yeah.
Wonderful. You're a gift. It's so much fun doing this with you and having you on the show. Thank you so much for being here, for the amazing, just such generous special offer, and for just sharing your heart with all of us.
Oh, thank you, John. It was fantastic to be with you.
Yeah,
Everybody.
and fantastic being with all of y'all on the call, on the replay. Just I can feel just the love and the light of being that you all are. Thank you. Thank you. Namaste.